when the world gets in my way, I need to make a getaway. So I ride down that old dirt road, the same place I always go. It does a soul good sometimes to be alone from time to time. Take the time and let it all go. Watch the world go by real slow.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the last Hobos Ramble podcast. I'm John.
I'm Adam.
And we've got a few music items to talk about with you today. Maybe a little bit of news.
Before we get to that, let me tell you about our website. It's rss.com/podcasts/Last Hobos Ramble. Go check us out there. All the episodes are available. Also tells you where you can listen to us on your preferred platform. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which is now X, YouTube, where you can also listen to the podcast if you're not a Spotify, Pandora, iTunes guru. So, once again, we're nationwide.
Yeah,
you know, it's just about anywhere.
That's right. Hey, on that YouTube, is it just sound or is it video also?
So it's just sound.
Okay, so they can just go listen to the sound. That's fine.
Yep.
All right.
As of right now.
Yeah, and on all of the, we're on all social media. Adam mentioned we're on Instagram this week. We've been on Instagram, but we actually started using it this week. So, we have 8 followers right now. So hopefully that'll pick up and we can get some feedback on what people would like to see and hear from us. If you want, all the social media platforms should point somewhere, somehow, to get you to the podcast. So, and speaking of that, our TikTok account, man, have you seen our TikTok account? I think we have over 21,000 views of the videos of the guys at the coffee shop. So
wow.
That's kind of surprising, but hey, I like it and it's working out. So, to get back into the news real quick and things going on, we're still having forest fires here. I'm sure you guys have a few down there. I've seen that Maryville is on fire. That's pretty in Louisiana, but it's still pretty close to your area. And we've had several forest fires over the last week. Every time they think they've got them out, some guy or person goes by, and if you throw a cigarette out or anything. I talked to one man, said that the Forest Service thought that someone had set off some fireworks on a piece of the land, and it caused a fire, and man, it's just a bad situation. It's hot. We have record heat, record drought. We're having record fires. It's just a real bad thing right now. So be careful with what you're doing.
Yeah, I think we're like 30 inches behind for the year. So,
well, and we came into this year behind last year.
Yep.
So we had a drought last year, but we're in a major drought this year. And if something doesn't change, next year is going to be pretty rough. So.
Yep, definitely. Heard a lot of those were lightning strikes too, from what I hear, which we obviously can't do much about that. But.
No, and there's some lightning strikes. I think I was talking to you the other night and actually got a alert that there was a fire caused by lightning not far from here. So
yeah, I know even up around Jasper and stuff, they've been having issues. So.
Yeah.
Statewide right now.
Yeah, it's pretty rough right now.
I did see a post, Tyler County today, maybe on Facebook, had posted about the folks from Puerto Rico that were helping.
Yep, they're still around.
Even brought their own helicopter, I heard.
I tell you what, it's kind of strange. I was having afternoon coffee with Terry uptown the other day and looked out the window, and there come a 1-ton truck with a trailer and a helicopter on it. And I thought, man, it's actually cheaper to pull them than to drive them, fly them. So
Oh,
they were moving it from one area to the other. So
well, maybe you misunderstood the situation, and the helicopter was actually carrying the truck and trailer.
it could have been. It could have been. They turned it on and it just pushed,
Yeah, could have been a wallaby.
Could have been a wallaby. I don't know. So yeah, the fires are still on our mind, and it's affecting a lot of people. So we just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. And you have any news down your way?
Not particularly. It's just miserable hot, man.
Yeah.
And it's really is starting to affect, and it will. Well, we know this from some of our past life experience. It's starting to affect people's attitude and behavior. And you got to be really careful when it's this hot outside, especially the way you talk to people. And you don't. They're hot, man. Leave them alone.
Temperatures go up, and so do tempers. So
That's right.
So give them a little slack.
Yep.
Today is the 33rd anniversary. I always hate saying it that way, but the 33rd anniversary of the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan. And, when I was a little fella, I remember people talking about Elvis dying. I remember where they were when Elvis died, things like that. And I thought that was kind of weird, But I most definitely remember exactly where I was when I found out he died. So I guess each generation has its own person, or maybe more than one, but that one was one for me.
Yeah.
So I do remember it. It was, he was definitely one of the greatest that ever lived, ever came out of the state of Texas, anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a Texas guy there. It's hard to think about Stevie and him passing away especially when you realize he would have been 68 if he had lived this long. So what all would we have gotten from Stevie between 90 and 23?
Right. Well, a lot of the music writers seem to think Stevie was really just starting to peak or come into his own on the music. They thought it was really starting to. He had actually, he had blew up real big, and I don't know if he was at his peak or if he was still rising. He was definitely putting out great music.
At that point, newly found sobriety, right?
Newly found sobriety. He got his life together. That's kind of one of the sad points of Stevie Ray passing, was that it looked like he was getting his life. The music was there for him long before the good, clean life was. You and I have passed the video back and forth several times. It looks like they go wake him up from the tour bus or something. He walks on stage for sound check. And he's got on this big fur coat, and he's rubbing his eyes and yawning, and you can tell he just got woke up. And they're up there getting ready to do sound check, and he's talking, and then you don't hear a count or anything, and they just take off, and he's playing full speed, just tearing it up, and he's still yawning. So he was at the top of as far as guitar playing and such, he was at the very top of that game, man. There's no telling how many guitar players he influenced. We know Kenny Wayne Shepherd come out shortly after Stevie Ray did. West Jeans out of the Longview area, both blues people, electric blues. We know that had a lot to do with those guys. So, but it's just there's no telling how many. You talk to read interviews, talk to people about Stevie Ray, and you hear people that you wouldn't think in a million years listen to Stevie Ray.
Yep.
One of the Jerry Jeff Walker songs, he talks about the death of, he mentions the death of Stevie Ray in it. George Strait, I've heard him mention Stevie Ray Vaughan. So it's not a genre thing. It's it's kind of like you and I like to talk about. We feel like in Texas we have the best of everything. I don't care if you're talking about guitar players or music. I don't care if you're talking about the food. I don't care if you're talking about the countryside. You name a category, and we're there.
Yep.
Give you an example: the best shooters in the world. So, the guy that G. David Tubb. G. David Tubb. He's one of those people that I remember as a younger person reading about him in these shooting magazines, and he was talking about things I didn't understand, and I'd go talk to my brother about it, and I said, "Man, this guy," and he's like, "Yeah, he's kind of out there. You can't take everything he says for real." And then a couple years later, we'll be talking. It's like, "Hey, man, you remember G. David Tubb talking about this?" Yeah. Well, now he's just ahead of everybody, but he is a world record shooter. Mandy Bachman. She's up close to Pittsburgh, Texas. She's on Team Wilson Combat, female shooter. It's just whatever category you look at. But Stevie Ray was at the top of that game. And musicians come out of Texas like bugs come out of dead wood. It's just the way it is. And I'll say this: we've got some of the best musicians in the world, and we've got a couple of the worst. Okay, I'll claim the bad ones too. But Stevie Ray was definitely top of the game, and it was a change in music. I mean, I was supposed to go see him at the State Fair in Dallas before he died, and it was several of them. It was going to be Stevie Ray, ZZ Top, Carlos Santana,
Wow.
Steve Miller Band. Several people was going to be playing that day. And I was going to go with my brother and his wife, and found out he died. They were still going because they were huge ZZ Top fans, and that's who they wanted to see. I wanted to see Stevie Ray. And when he died, I just didn't go. I was like, it's not even worth me going for, But that's just my personal story of how it was. I'm sure it didn't affect everyone because the world did keep going,
Yeah.
But
That was a huge lineup for that concert, though.
oh man, and my brother said that every one of them paid tribute to Stevie Ray. Every one of them was like, "Hey,"
I bet.
And I've heard Billy Gibbons talk about him many times, talk about he's soul brother number one, and so.
Yeah. We've actually made the Stevie Ray pilgrimage, right?
Oh, we have. I was going to say that you mentioned he was a Texas boy. He was born, I think, in White Oak, and migrated toward Austin down there, and that's where he really honed his craft. But when he passed away, he went back to White Oak, or we went back. They took him back up to the Dallas area to bury him. And you and I, it's nothing to drive 5 hours out of the way to go see a grave site, right?
Right.
So maybe I'll put that picture on Facebook later on of his grave. Yep. But yeah, we've made that pilgrimage. I think that same day we actually went to that one and to Towns Van Zandt.
I think we did. Yep.
So was that the same trip?
Yep, sure was.
Yeah. And then that weekend we went into Bob Wills, right? While we're in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Or was that on a different trip?
I think we.
Because he was buried in the same cemetery Sam Kinison is.
Yeah, it might have been two separate ones. There was somebody else in that cemetery too. It was Bob Wills, Oral Roberts.
Yeah. But yeah, Stevie Ray, man, he was the bomb, I still listen to Stevie Ray.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I gave your son a Stevie Ray CD for Christmas, I think. So,
Yep.
yeah, good inspiration.
I keep trying to tell him to go learn some Stevie Ray.
Yeah. Whew.
He says his fingers don't move that fast yet.
Well, they will.
Yeah.
They will.
I hope so.
So,
Anyway, I mean, obviously you have to respect the guy for sure for his talent, and first and foremost, he was a Texas guy, but his talent and then the inspiration for all those people that come after him, including all the kids, they watch Stevie Ray or listen to Stevie Ray and decided they wanted to play the guitar and got a lifelong hobby right there. I know of those people. Hobo John there is one of them. Inspired him to want to learn some of the guitar there. But
yeah.
sure
He
probably even had a sunburst Fender Stratocaster, man.
I did have a sunburst Fender Stratocaster. I'll go one further than that. I had the hat, man. Yeah, he had Steve Ray had his hats made out in Buda, Texas at Texas Hatters. Same place Jerry Jeff Walker mentions in Manny's Hat Song, because it was made by Manny Gambridge. And you can go out there and they will measure your head and they will make you a custom Stevie Ray Vaughan style hat with your name in it and everything. So if you're into that, it's.
Now I will say this about Stevie: he could tear the guitar up. I mean, just wear it out. But I don't know about his fashion sense, man. Fur coat. That hat looks like something that you'd wear in somewhere you wanted to start a fight.
I think that was the point. Not starting the fight part, but look, you and I, we have a lot in common. We like a lot of the same stuff, right? Yeah. So we like old cars. We like things like that. Well, when you look at an old car, if it's black or white, something like that, it looks okay, right? But when you look at one that's Hugger orange or midnight purple or whatever, that really stands out, it's loud, that tells you that's a bad car, right? That guy's looking to pick a race. And I think a lot of that was with Stevie Ray. He wanted that flamboyance because he was a very shy, introverted person. So I think that was a way of him speaking up and speaking out and being loud.
What did he call that snake in an interview?
That was a copper-headed rattle moccasin.
That what?
Yeah, you got to watch it. I wish we could put the video in here, man, for them to see that. Yeah, there's a couple of videos he kind of gets out there.
Oh, might have been before the sobriety came along.
Well, and being from Texas, he has a right to stretch the truth a little.
That's right. But
yeah,
final word on that is he definitely did not stretch the truth on his guitar skills.
No, he was the real deal. And to add to what you were saying about him bringing people to the guitar and wanting to play guitar, it wasn't just him. The people that he grew up listening to, he always mentioned them and always talked about them and in interviews, and it brought a resurgence to the blues. Guys like B.B. King said, man, they sold more albums after Stevie Ray came out. Their stuff was dead. And here comes Stevie Ray, and now people's listening to B.B. King and especially Albert King,
Yep.
And there's that story of Stevie Ray playing at Antone's, and I think Albert was playing down on Congress at Continental Club, and Stevie Ray mentioned a couple times that Albert was down there playing. He goes, look, I don't know what y'all going to do, but I'm going to listen to Albert King. And he left in the middle of the show, goes down and walks in. They let him in, and he stands on the picnic table and watches the show. So he never gave up being a fan either. And I think that was cool.
Yep.
I could talk about the Stevie Ray all day, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
So
What's that we always say, right? You hit it big when you can play Mary Had Little Lamb for a stadium full of folks,
yeah,
and they just
yeah,
applaud.
exactly. Well, I'll tell you this, he played like nobody else, you know.
That's right.
So I would like to. I've never heard a story how he came about recording that or playing that. I would love to. If anybody knows of a story where he's telling that, I would love to hear that one. So
Stevie Ray is to Mary Had Little Lamb like Jimi Hendrix is to the national anthem.
right, right. So yeah, gonna
Uh,
be a
go
day
ahead.
of remembrance.
Yep, yep. So just keep that in mind today as you go about your business. Uh, Stevie Ray been gone 33 years. Long time. Uh, so a few weeks ago, I don't remember. These are all in my mind running together at some point or shuffling themselves. It's like somebody dumped the card catalog out on me. Uh, but week before last, or 2 weeks ago, we talked about Oliver Anthony, the guy
That
out of
would have
West Virginia.
been. I think that was week 1, man, or week 2.
I don't know. Week one was Tyler Childers and the
That's
Tyler
right.
Tyler Childers and Jason Aldean playing footsies with the coal miners.
There you go.
Uh,
That's right.
anyway, I digress. Oliver Anthony, West Virginia, little known person, used to singing at farmers markets and just kind of lives off grid, whatever. Go back and listen to episode, I'm going to say 3. The thing about Oliver is most of his songs, I say most of them, a couple of his songs have taken uh, a somewhat political stance. It's episode 3. I just looked back. Sorry. Somewhat political stance in that he's out for the politicians, right? Like thinks that they haven't been very good for the country. He started to speak out a little bit more about his music, which we kind of talked about this happening, that eventually people would take notice that wanted to use his material for campaign purposes, and they really pulled a string when they used it for the first question in the Republican debate this last week. They played a short clip of Men North of Richmond asked the candidates on stage why they felt like that song had struck a nerve like it has among so many people. And of course, Oliver's stance was, this is not just about, that song wasn't about one person or one group of people or one particular group of politicians. He's landing on the side of, from what I could tell in this little short video, he really doesn't care for any of the politicians, which I'm
Right.
on board with. I'm not a fan of many of them either. So, he just kind of has taken exception to one group saying that he's on their side, or the other group saying that he's on their side. And I get it, but here's the problem. If you're an artist and you've got a painting or a novel or a poem or a song or a sculpture, and you build it up and you create it and you throw it out into the world, when you let go of it and it leaves you, you lose about 50% of your control over what it's going to do. Okay.
That's right.
My kids aren't grown and gone yet, but I would say it's a lot like that. Did the best you could to make it into what you wanted to see, and you can't really affect it too much after it's gone. And so I think, based on his comments in his video, I think he's going to have a hard time with that part of this business, but the gate was left open and his stuff got out.
And maybe sooner than he wanted.
Maybe.
I know that I'd seen some interviews and such and done some reading, and he's was approached by John Rich of Big and Rich, who I wasn't a big fan of Big and Rich's, but they knocked Nashville on their butt at one time. They come out of nowhere with that. I don't know, hip hop, cowboy rap stuff, and whatever you want to call that music they were doing, but it did turn Nashville over. And I think that what I read was he had gone to visit with Oliver Anthony as an uninterested party, meaning he didn't want to sign him to a label. He wasn't trying to get him under contract. He just wanted to give him some free advice to maybe help him along. Oliver ended up turning down an $8 million contract, which, good for him if that's what he wants. There's a lot of people do it for the money. Apparently he's not going to be one of them. I think the thing that I like is what you said. He is a bipartisan. He has a bipartisan hate for politics. He doesn't care what party you come from. I can go into my music library and find you about 6, 7 artists right off the top of my head who are yellow dog Democrats, and that's fine. That's their choice. I'm not knocking them. That sing political songs, but I can't name you one right off the top of my head that is a dyed-in-the-wool Republican that does. So here we are with Oliver Anthony, and he's against not a party but the system. So I really like that myself, because we all agree the system's broke.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, that's the stance he's taking.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, he definitely doesn't seem to be interested in the money, because, like we talked about, if you'd have waved $2 million at us, we would have countered with give us 5 and we'll disappear.
I was gonna say you can cut that in half, and I'm going down the road, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. I won't ever release another song.
Now you can buy a podcast, a Facebook page, an Instagram page, a TikTok account all at one time. We can put them in business, can't we?
Yep.
Yeah. I'll be honest. That kind of money would have been hard to turn down.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have been the first time that they have signed an artist. Maybe for that much money it might have been, but there are a lot of accounts where they sign artists to keep them from releasing albums at the same time as their star artist or being in competition with them, and then they bury them.
Yeah.
It never sees the light of day. So, he may be thinking like that. You don't know, man. That music business, it's just about organized crime.
Yeah, right.
So,
but I mean, hey, look, like I've said, can't deny the guy's talent.
No.
He didn't seem like he was furious or angry about it. He was a little amused that, reminds me of the old Robert Frost story about he's at a conference and somebody gets up and starts talking about analyzing one of his poems and telling everybody what it meant. And of course, it's the keynote. He gets up a little bit later and says, I had no idea that's what I was talking about. So, well, and kind of the same thing here,
But you've written poetry. You write poetry and short stories or things like that. And I've written songs and poetry, and I don't know about you, but I know I've written stuff before. When I got done with it, I didn't even know what it was about really. It just came out. I had an ideal, and it flowed out of there, but it really didn't. I don't know what the words are, but it really didn't have to me, not a specific path that I wrote about.
Yep. Yep.
So,
And I'll say this: if I were going to sit down and write a poem about anything political, I don't see me putting too many more syllables to it than a haiku.
I got about 2 words I could sum it all up with.
That's pretty much it.
Sounds about like Waylon Jennings is what it sounds like.
That's right.
But when you write about stuff like that and you're not sure what it is, it's called stream of consciousness. There's an actual term for it. That just hit me is why I brought it back. But it does happen. But I feel like Anthony Oliver definitely had a idea of what he was writing about. It's so focused, and I mean, there's people that's offended by the song. We hadn't touched on that. I don't know if you've seen a lot of the videos of I buy my own fudge round stickers.
Yeah.
You've seen that where else?
Yeah.
And that is not what the guy said. He said, if you're 5'3" and 300 pounds, I shouldn't have to buy your fudge rounds.
I'm 5'10" and over 300 pounds, just to give everybody a notion of what size or shape I am. But
I've bought his fudge rounds before, so
he has.
He
has purchased some Little Debbie snack cakes for me before, but at the end of the day, I wasn't offended. If you get offended,
check yourself.
Check yourself.
Yeah, it's probably on you. Yeah,
it might not be everybody else.
It's kind of like if you put a sign up at a eating establishment that says "No ugly people allowed," and somebody comes to the door and goes, "Well, that's not fair. Just because I'm not as good looking as so." Well, guess what? You did that to yourself. It didn't say we were checking you. It was just a sign to make people laugh.
That's it.
So
I'd have gone in anyway just to make them kick me out, buddy.
Oh, well, you and I, we'll hit some of them buffets every now and then to freak them out. And we've seen their faces when you and I come through there and told them we just fell off the Weight Watchers wagon. So, I mean.
And we hit hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We get our money's worth.
Get all this moving. It's hard to stop it.
That's right. You can't run machines like these on empty.
That's right. Your pronunciation of the word buffet and the tone in your voice tells.
Did I say Buffett?
Buffet. No.
I had a Chris Farley moment.
No, it wasn't you. I'm just saying, depending on your size and your excitement at the buffet.
Oh yeah, and the quality of the buffet.
That's right.
I mean, hey, if it's just a Golden Corral, it's okay, But if you go to like a real hometown buffet, yeah, watch out, boys.
Hey, has anybody else noticed that we always bring this back around to food?
I want to know what the limit on them chicken fried steaks are.
That's right. By the pound.
That's right. Yep.
By the pound and gravy by volume.
That's right.
Oh, right, mercy.
But yeah, Oliver Anthony, I think, will be a voice to be contended with for at least a couple of more years.
Yeah, and look, my wife, the other day, my daughter had a word, a vocabulary word, cynic. And Amber, of course, we're driving somewhere, and Amber, my wife, said, Maddie, what was that word you had, the vocabulary word today? And she said cynic. And Amber says, your daddy's a cynic. And it's true. So here's the deal about Oliver. Oliver is talented. You win that one, Oliver. Oliver seems to be humble. You definitely win that one. I'll give that.
Definitely.
Doesn't seem to be greedy.
Nope.
That's another point for you. But your song is very much political. And I hope you stick with what you're saying. But the next 14 months or so are going to be the we're going to see. So,
Yeah.
We try to stay out of the politics, but it is what it is. I mean, they're closely tied. We talked about it last week. I ain't one way or another. Whatever. At this point, I think we're all just trying to vote for our definition of the lesser of the two evils. So.
Well, everybody has a version of the American dream, and they're never the same. They may be close, but they're never the same. And what you have to vote for is what you think is who you think is going to get you closer to fulfilling your dream. Okay, your dream may not be near what mine is; it may be opposite. So that's why we have different candidates, you know. And the unfortunate part is anymore, I think we found out that they're all shysters. They're not really out to help anybody but themselves. You know, you have politicians who are making better stock picks than Warren Buffett. Okay, tell me something ain't up there. You have politicians who are going in. The president, what makes 400,000 a year roughly? That's not an exact number, but I think it's roughly 400,000 a year, something like that. And I may be way off on that, but whatever
I think that's close. That's right.
But when you have a president go in office and serve 4 years, even 8 years, and they come out and now they're worth 5 times what they went in as, how? How did they get that money? The people are going to say, well, they wrote books and this and that. I don't know that books pay that kind of money.
Who's buying those things?
If they did, wouldn't Steven Spielberg, or not Steven Spielberg, what's his name?
Oh, Stephen King. Don't get me
Stephen
started.
King, wouldn't he be one of the richest men in the world then? I mean, what about you? You read way more than I get to. J.L.L. Tolkien?
J.R.R.
J.R.R. Tolkien. Wouldn't it be one of the richest people in the world? Wouldn't we be talking about them riding around in their Bentleys and stuff?
He's been dead for a long time, so.
Well, so has the American dream.
Oh.
But my point being, I just don't think there's that much money in publishing of books.
There's not. I mean,
So
you could, if you're a good author, I think you could make a decent living, but you're not going to be rich without turning it into movies, and then you're going to have to.
And there's not a lot of political books that get to be movies. Not the ones written by ex-presidents, you know. I mean, even Barack Obama, who was a landmark president, if nothing else, you know, the first African-American president. So, but even at that, he was the first one we had. And they hadn't made a movie out of his life story yet.
They had a Netflix documentary.
Give me a break, man. We could make a Netflix documentary.
Well, I think I'd have to look back in the news, but him and Michelle, whatever.
Well, they must not have done very well. Because I don't remember hearing anything about it.
Look, here's the deal.
I know. I got my head buried in the sand.
No, it had nothing to do with that. I'm just not. If I'm going to watch a documentary, I want to see ZZ Top or Stevie Ray. At the end of the day, here's the bigger problem. Average people, which I would say John and I are probably even below average. We don't care about politics as far as, like he said, we think they're all shysters. So we want to see something that interests us. You're probably not going to change our minds politically at this point in our lives. I mean, you're certainly not going to change them after we pay our income taxes every year.
Amen.
Anyway, whatever. Well, like I said,
yeah, I want to digress from the politics. I'm kind of just bumming out over here, to be honest. So
try to stay away from them.
Let me throw us into another segment, okay? And this maybe should have been at the beginning. I don't know. I found out this yesterday reading some that Terry Funk. You remember Terry Funk? Wrestler.
Yes, I do
Had
remember.
a little career as a well, he was in Roadhouse. He was in Roadhouse also. He had a little acting career. He wrestled for 50 years, which is a long time, you know. And
Yeah.
he passed away. Just I found out yesterday he passed away. You and I aren't the biggest wrestling fans in the world. We think it's a lot of fun. I mean, what we've talked about it, that they do the things they do. We consider it entertainment. Uh, and the characters, to me, the characters are more fun than anything when they do their interviews. And but yeah, Terry Funk lived in Amarillo. He wasn't born in Texas, but he lived there for many, many years. As a matter of fact, for a while, I think they called him Texas Terry Funk. And he was an old school wrestler, and he passed away. So we're gonna pass that along for any wrestling fans out there, or movie fans. Like I said, he starred in a couple of, not starred. He was in a couple of movies. He had, I call them minor roles, but he was in Roadhouse.
You ever seen a wrestling monologue that didn't? You could just take a wrestling monologue and move it over to Saturday Night Live back in the day, and it
Oh
would just
man,
fit. You don't
are you
have to do
kidding?
anything to it.
Are you kidding? Dusty Rhodes, you know? You remember Dusty Rhodes? He was about your size, maybe taller, but he was a big guy. Very athletic for a big guy, though. Okay,
Mhm.
and he part of his thing. He's from Texas, Austin. He had that Southern talk to him,
Yep.
and he would get up there and talk about, I dined with kings and queens and this and that. You know, Ric Flair. You know, he's same thing. I've dined with kings and queens. I'm the Rolex wearing, limousine riding, airplane flying. You know, it's hilarious. You know, and to me, it's like when Gwen and I got to go see Kiss. You know, and as a kid, I want to see them really bad. And finally, I'm in my 40s probably. I get to go see Kiss at the Woodlands. Def Leppard opened. And what I realized is their music was just okay. The show was what you were there for.
Yep.
You were there to see the blood spitting, fire blowing, flying across the audience, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
They were a show. And when you realize, and Paul Stanley said it there, he got up there and said toward the end of the show, look, we come out here, there's a lot of bad things going on in the world. If you forget about them for an hour and a half, 2 hours, then we've done our job. And that's, if you see me watching a wrestling clip, that's what I'm doing. I'm going off into that little place that makes me laugh.
That's it.
You know, because I don't care who you are in wrestling, the biggest, baddest one, they're funny, you know.
Well, and and those guys, when you start listening to that's the whole deal. I could care less about watching a wrestling match. It's just
Yeah,
not
can
my
we just go
thing.
watch the monologues? Can
That's
we
it.
sit by the booth?
That's exactly right. It's the promo videos, the monologues, watching Dusty Rhodes do the American Dream.
That's right.
He's got just stuffed sweat and funk dripping off of him, and he's just slobbering everywhere. And it's just so theatrical. And just listening to their road stories, you know, there's a guy on TikTok that does little animated road stories.
And our
clips.
favorite ones are, without a doubt, go ahead and tell them.
Andre the
Andre the
Giant.
Giant. We love Andre the Giant.
Because that was just amazing as a kid, just to even see him in anything, you know. And we watched The Princess Bride. Andre the Giant's in there.
Andre the Giant.
Carrie Yules is in there. I mean, that if you've never seen The Princess Bride, go watch it. I can't even imagine somebody not having seen it. But,
well, I think before you watch that, you actually are required by law to go and watch This is Spinal Tap.
I don't know if it's required by law or not, but
because one, the guy who has an amp that goes to 11, if I'm not mistaken, and the other is looking for a man who has 11 fingers.
Yes.
Coincidence? I don't think so.
No, but also two different audience.
Oh yeah, it is. It definitely is. But if you like one, you would most likely like the other.
Yeah.
But back to Andre, man. Andre, we liked Andre, and from all accounts, he was just such a sweetheart of a guy. Uh, I know I never really thought about the problems he had in life till after he was dead, and we started hearing these stories. He's on the road 300 days a year, motel to motel. He can't fit into a bed. He can't sit on the toilet. He can't sit in a car hardly. You know, so how do you travel with this guy? He is an actual giant, and he just was always so fun, and he loved the kids and people in the audience, and there you are. That their personality is just what they're really like, and what they're like in that ring's two different things.
Mm-hmm.
I've shared a couple of clips with you, I think, with the Undertaker talking to kids backstage that had some. I'll say they're on the spectrum. How's that?
Yep.
I don't want to call them something else. And and you seen it. He was just as nice to them as he could be, wasn't he?
Yep.
And there you go. There's a big monster of a guy who played 1 or 2 years basketball at Angelina.
I was going to say, there you go, another Texas related guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Terry Funk passed away. It's kind of I'm not going to get broke up over it, but I feel for his family, of course. You don't want to see anybody go through a relative passing away, and his friends, and it's just part of an end of an era, probably. So. Oh, and last weekend, how we missed it, I don't know. I guess it was after we done our podcast. If y'all don't know, we do these once a week, and they go out. So some things come out after we make them, and we don't go back and reinsert it. But last weekend was Dimebag Darrell's birthday. Talk about another Dallas, Texas guitar player,
Yep.
Pantera Damage Plan was shot on stage and killed. Pretty tragic story. As I said, whatever genre you want to go into, anything you want to go into, we're going to claim the best. Get you there real quick, can't we?
That's right.
I mean, here we go. When you and I, neither one like pop music, as a whole. But hey, Beyonce, that's a Texas girl. I don't know none of her stuff. I don't know anything about her really, but she's from Texas. She's top of that genre.
On the record as saying you claimed her.
I didn't claim her. I said she's from Texas.
Oh, mercy.
You edit that out.
Yeah. It's too late. It's on record.
It's on record. Well, there you go. She is from Texas. But with George Strait, nobody has more #1 hits than anyone. Nobody.
Yep.
That's why they call him the king.
And fun fact about George Strait is nobody has ever accused him of being a serial killer. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
I've never even seen him with a box of cereal.
That's cool. But
No, he's not been accused of any great wrongdoings or anything. Also, he's never been accused of killing country music.
That's correct. As a matter of fact, he spoke out against the murder.
Yeah, he really did. And he brought Alan Jackson along on that. I don't know whose idea it was to cut that song, but they collaborated on it. We claim Alan Jackson. I mean,
yeah, I love that song.
Yeah, you and I both are big Alan Jackson fans, so we're not just about Texas music. We're about good music.
There you go.
But we are going to always hold Texas up to the highest.
Well, did you eat anything interesting this week?
I didn't.
Well, I can say that I did this week. So
lay it on me.
There's a restaurant, and it's called J. Wilson's.
I have heard of this.
In Beaumont, and it's a higher-end restaurant. Really, really good food. But I ate there for lunch Thursday, and Thursday is hot dog day.
Wait a minute. How high class restaurant is this?
That's what I said.
Is it so high that you have to have a job to get in?
Yep.
Okay.
I was traumatized to find out that Jay Wilson's was doing hot dog Thursdays for lunch. But here's the deal. They're gourmet hot dogs. Yep. I see your little mind. Your little hamster just stumbled.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's what they did. They took hot dogs.
They got to use what they did.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, buddy.
Okay.
They have several gourmet hot dogs. Of course, you can get a plain or a chili cheese too. But then they go into kind of themed hot dogs. They had one that was elote. If you don't know what elote is, it's Mexican street corn. And basically, they took the hot dog in the bun, and they take Mexican street corn and some hot sauce and put on top. Hey, it was great.
It actually sounds pretty good. Was that corn roasted?
Yeah, it had a roasted flavor to it.
Yeah, that actually sounds pretty good.
The other one, my favorite one though, I cannot remember what they called it, but at Jay Wilson's for one of the appetizers, they have man candy, which is, listen, I'm telling you, it's pork belly. It's, you know what? It's pork belly, but it's got like honey and habanero seasoning on it. Hey, it's delicious. Well, they took this hot dog and they put that, it wasn't a ranch sauce, but it was kind of similar to ranch, and some little pepper rounds on there. That one was great. So, just saying, if you're out on Thursdays for lunch, you want a gourmet hot dog, go buy Jay Wilson's. What I will say about Beaumont right now is with the drought, their city water has an earthy taste and smell, and it's affected all the drinks. If you've never had and this is every restaurant in Beaumont right now, if you've never had sweet tea, it tastes like somebody stirred it with a worm. You can get it right now in Beaumont through the city water. Supposedly it's okay to drink, but the Dr. Pepper from the fountains, everything tastes like dirt water right now. So that's okay. A side effect of the water getting low, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. Wow. Did you order the man candy when you went in there?
Not this time. I have before.
I figured. Oh, have mercy. Hey, if you want to come up here any day of the week, Monday through Sunday, the Valero's got gourmet hot dogs. You don't even have to have regular. You can go as you are, man. Come in like you come off the lake. They got them, okay? Regular old gourmet hot dogs. You can get mayonnaise, mustard. You can put ketchup on them, things like that. If you want to order some fries and throw on there yourself, it's okay. I mean, they'll hook you up, okay? That's Valero right there in downtown. Hell, he's looking for something to stab me with, but I'm way away. So.
Come on, man. Gourmet hot dogs at the Valero. Man. Whatever. Man,
you wouldn't know what to do if I didn't give you a hard time.
Of course, they had one with sauerkraut on it. I'm not a sauerkraut person.
I don't really get the whole idea of sauerkraut, to be honest with you.
No.
I mean, I don't see the appeal.
Consider the source.
Yeah.
They had several different ones. I mean, try it or don't. I don't know what to tell you.
There you go.
I like hot dogs.
Yeah, I love hot dogs, so, I don't mind eating gourmet hot dogs.
I don't know. I guess that's about all for this week, though, huh?
I think it sounds like it. Just remember, if you don't fit in anywhere else, you can come hang out with us.
Roll down the windows, turn up take a